So yesterday, there was an explosion in the Shahid Raja'i port in Bandar Abbas, south of Iran, just near the Hormuz Strait. This explosion was very suspicious. Yesterday we spoke about it, and the fact that, well, lots of things linked to Israel, really. Israel is the main country benefiting from anything that can harm Iran. Iran as an economy, Iran as a nation, Iran as a country, and Israel wants to hinder any prospect of Iran reaching a deal with the United States of America in relation to the nuclear agreement. As a matter of fact, Israel was the side that pushed the United States out of the previous agreement that they had with Iran under the Obama administration that Donald Trump himself went out of. However, now there have been 3 meetings between the Iranian side and the American side, talks about positivity. Donald Trump, despite his typical big statements, Donald Trump saying that no, he prefers to reach a deal with Iran. Even when he was asked about the prospect of Israel attacking Iran, said we would rather get a deal than have a war. And he said that it wasn't very likely to have a war. But of course, Israel is Israel. Israel is there as a country planted to wreak havoc and chaos. And they do not want a strong Iran, especially with their positions, and especially with the fact that Iran carried out 2 very big strikes on Israel in the past 16 months. Now, yesterday, the explosion happened. Today, the death toll is rising, and the wounded toll is rising too. But there was a very significant statement coming from Iran, and we're going to talk about this statement and then go through all of the details in relation to that statement and the likelihood of the following steps coming both from the Israeli side and the Iranian side too. So was this report here on multiple networks, really, one of the most Shafaq online, quoting the Iranian parliament member Mohammad Siraj, who accused Israel today of being behind the explosion at Raja'i port in southern Bandar Abbas city, saying this event was by no means accidental and there is clear evidence of Israeli involvement. In an interview with an Iranian news website, Siraj stated that, quote, when explosions occur in 4 different locations, this indicates that the explosive materials had been previously planted inside the containers, end quote, denying the possibility of a natural fire. Usually, chemicals ignite at a single point and do not cause simultaneous explosions like this. These containers were either mined in the country of origin via the source during the transport route or even through internal components equipped with explosives. And he also added that the possibility that Israel was using advanced technology, saying that it is likely that these explosions were carried out using satellites or remotely controlled timers. They carefully calculated the timing of the container's arrival at the port to ensure maximum damage was caused. And they continued in response to a question from website correspondent about the impact of this incident on negotiations. Siraj emphasized that the Israelis are seeking in every possible way to disrupt Iran's international relations, and this incident is part of those conspiracies. However, the Iranian people know full well not to be fooled by these plots, and this incident will not impact the negotiations. And he gave references about the Beirut explosion, again linking Israel to that too. But the main thing coming from this statement from the member of parliament in Iran is the fact that he is viewing Israeli links. And there have been many things in his statement that he carried out today, that he had today, that are very interesting. Number one, well, the fact that there were 4 explosions in different locations, that's something that we did not know when the attack happened or when that actual explosion happened. Now, the fact that there have been 4 explosions, that's a very clear indications of sabotage, of direct sabotage. And the fact that they are unable to directly blame Israel by being the one behind it doesn't mean, of course, that Israel isn't most likely behind it. However, like we spoke about at the time that this happened, Israel was the main country benefiting from this. Now, this is a member of parliament. Any member of parliament in Iran, it's an important position. However, we still haven't had the same statements coming from the foreign office or the president or the supreme leader or the Iranian army or the IRGC or the security forces. But if this information has substance, if this information is verified internally in Iran, and of course, he's saying that 4 explosions happened, meaning he had some sort of knowledge about the investigation and what's happening with that investigation. And he happened to be one of those people who revealed such investigations that are being carried out in Iran. There could be more statements coming from officials in the next few either hours or days from Iran that might link Israel directly to this attack. However, again, Israel, if they were the ones indeed behind this attack, it's coming at a very sensitive period. Iran has been giving time. Iran, like they have given time previously after their attack on Israel in April for the prospect of a ceasefire. And then there were the assassinations in Tehran, and then the assassinations in Beirut, and Israeli escalations. They, of course, had their response to Israel in True Promise 2 back in October. And before that attack, the Iranian president clearly stated something that is still being implemented by Iran now. The Iranian president said back in around August 2024 that, or July, that we have given time to the ceasefire, to the negotiations, to the mediators, to the countries involved in trying to de-escalate, and we haven't seen that de-escalation happening. Therefore, and especially after the assassination of the previous Secretary General of Hezbollah, they decided to take action. And they at the time declared that this was a response to the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran and Hassan Nasrallah in Lebanon, alongside the senior IRGC figure that was assassinated with him, and the innocent people of Gaza, the innocent children of Gaza. Since then, there were paths to de-escalate. There was still an active ceasefire following that between Israel and Lebanon. A very fragile ceasefire happened in Gaza too. There are still talks to try and reach a ceasefire, with more proposals coming now from the mediators. And Iran is clearly still at that phase of giving time, but this timing is a little bit more complicated for Iran because they are in direct talks with the United States. Now, if this information that this member of parliament of Iran has mentioned is accurate, well, the Iranian officials, they have a couple of options. The first option is, well, declare it outright based on certain investigations. They would say we had 4 explosions. There is no likelihood whatsoever that this is some sort of a random accident. There is clear sabotage. And we can link that sabotage to Israel based on previous attacks that were carried out in Iran that had the fingerprints of Israel inside them, where they were carried out by these proxy organizations that are run by Israel and other Western countries' intelligence services, or directly by Israel and not any proxy organization. But if the Iranian officials, or if Iran officially declares by the Iranian government or the IRGC or the supreme leader that it was Israel, that would mean that they have more pressure to respond. Now, if they want to respond, they don't need this excuse anyway, because they have a pending response. But if they do not want to respond, that means they could potentially delay official publications from the actual government or from the investigating bodies inside of Iran in relation to this incident. However, what's for sure is that Muhammad Siraj, who is a member of the Iranian parliament, coming up with these statements gives us a very, very strong indication that this was an act of sabotage. This was a deliberate act of terror conducted by most likely the state of Israel. Whether Iran will come out and publicly declare that this is Israel, this is something that we will most likely see in the next few days.